know, but if you know my mom and you know my Aunt Maggie, they were soldiers. And they taught me a lot, and they taught us a lot. So as I say often, we're the next generation. There's nobody left but first cousins. And my Uncle Charles, of course. But me, Larry, and Nathan grew up like the Three Musketeers. And we was always taught to look out for one another. And as that time went on when my mom passed, it was a very painful situation for me because I didn't have a golden son next to me to walk that walk. But I know due to the circumstances, I bared all pain, and it gave me more determination to get my life together and to do right and hold my promise to my mom. So I want you guys to know today that the word said to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So although they may not be here on earth, I know that they're in heaven. They're no longer suffering. And what they want us to do is carry on the war legacy. Do something great with our life, pay it forward, and I think that we're on the road to do that. I thank God for my niece and nephew and her great-grandchildren, that their dad is home, and that we can all begin to live that life of carrying it to the next generation. My mother often told me in the time that I had, and even my auntie, when we gone, what y'all gonna do? Don't make the same mistakes that we made, but to do better with your life. And I know that we would do that. So I want this to be a celebration of life and not sadness, because we only got to go forward. So I want to read this poem that Sharon F. wrote for me. This is one of my ministry friends at my church. She couldn't be here today because of surgery, but she will be printing this out so Nathan and Larry can have it at their home. It said, Maddie and Mary Ann celebrated their lives of two great women. Maddie Greenwood and Mary Ann Ward, both of them have transcended on home to be with God our Lord. These two sisters were phenomenal, courageous, strong, and bold, God-fearing women with the word rooted deep within their soul. Loyal to the family, both loving, giving, and kind. Hard-working, as y'all know, entrepreneurs, and always on their grind. Holding up the family, matriarchs who were blessed, providers, protectors, and givers of all they had. But they did not take your mess. They both were great mothers and sisters. You both had families and friends. They both were loyal to each other and to the very end. Rooted in the country, so they both were real good cooks. Beautiful black women who didn't fall short on their looks. We are here to celebrate today because we are giving honor where honor is due. Maddie and Mary Ann, you are ingrained in our hearts. You were never ever forget the both of you. Sharon D. Epps. So that's the poem that Sharon wrote. So I just want to just let my family know that just to hold on. You know, I know everyone has their grieving process, and the closure is with God. Not at a grave site, it's not anywhere, but it's within your heart that you get closure. Took me many years to get there. So that's why I stand here today to let my family know that it'll get easy over time, but it would be those moments that you will hurt and you will cry. My auntie lived 84 great years. So some people don't like to talk about the realness at memorials or funerals. But see, the Bible said that that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to bury our parents. They don't supposed to bury us. Mm-hmm. And I thank God that my brother survived those 14 years, despite of his challenges in there. I thank God that my cousin survived his strokes, despite of his circumstances. Because we come from a bloodline of fighters, you know. And I just want you guys to know, don't mourn for them, but celebrate them. My mom been coming in my dream every night since my brother's been home. My auntie has been coming in my dreams, because I always say that I have an anointed and a call. My grandmother told me since I was a child. And oftentimes I get scared to show this side to my family. But my auntie taught me about God, and my grandmother. So I just want my brother and nephew to know that they're in a better place. They're in a better place. And all we need to do, as they say, they was grinders and hustlers, but we gonna do it in the right way. And before I get emotional and start crying, I just want to thank you all for showing up today for Nathan and Larry, because it was important that they do this. My cousin Anthony.
We're here for you too, though,
so I just thank God. I have been trying to hold this family together, but I don't take no credit. To God be the glory. To God be the glory.
Because you helped make this happen.
So
you gotta give glory to yourself too, though, at the same time.
So
real talk.
I just want to thank everybody for coming. I want to let us eat, turn some music on, celebrate like they would celebrate. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to grieve, but don't grieve in sadness, because that's not what they would want. They want that type of they want that type of women. They was not that type of women. So a lot of things Melissa was careful in what she wrote, but everybody know who my mother and auntie was. But despite of the lifestyle that they lived, they was good people, and they helped a lot of people. So with that, I'm gonna just get from here. I wanted my brother to say something. I wanted him to get some words, right? Because we're not gonna let the enemy come in and take anything else away from this family. Because we done lost everybody here in Illinois. And him coming home and not having that, I understand. But we're not gonna let the enemy come in and make nobody feel any guilt or any sorrow. See, because I'm gonna share this and then I'm gonna close. When my auntie passed, she was in a coma. My cousin Larry called me, and when I went there, I was able to spend a long time with her, and she looked peaceful and sweet. And I was grateful for that, because I was expecting the worst. You know what I'm saying? When my mom passed, she was in a coma. Tubes, everything. But her wishes to me is don't let me suffer. Basic was there for me, 10 toes down at that hospital, you know. But her words to me was, and I put it, I don't know if he can read it, but often when my mother went on life support, she would come off within 24 or 48 hours. But the time that I had her on hospice, we had a lot of good talks, and she was tired. And she would often write these notes to me, and I happened to be on the Google thing trying to print up pictures, trying to make sure everybody was included. And I found this notebook, not the notebook, but I had took pictures of it. And a lot of these things in here said, don't argue with your auntie. Be good to her. She raised you guys. She said, you and your brother stick together. Make something of yourselves. Bring my son home. So she always had a notebook that I would give her, because even in her getting ready to come off, she had something to say.
Yes, she did.
I want to thank my husband, who stood 10 toes down with me, with my mother. You know, Basic was there, and he carried her back and forth to the bathroom when she lost her mobility. I had lost my mind. So when people was asking me about a pastor, see, I knew God was testing me. Because although I was there for my mom, I did everything that basically testified that I needed to do. But when she died in my arms, I lost it. Because my brother gave her that release. Put the phone to my mother's ear, because that's what she was waiting on. Basically tell you she was in that coma. They said when you pull the plug, she's gonna flatline and die. My mother lived 2 days longer, because she was waiting to hear from her son. And when she did hear from him and he wasn't crying, 23 minutes later, she was gasping for breath. I'm thinking a miracle was happening, but actually she was going home to glory. So I want my brother to know that. I don't want him to feel no guilt or no shame. You know, and I would like anybody else who want to come up here and got some words of encouragement for this family. And I know my cousin is hurting because him and my auntie was very, very, very close. I think he was more of a mama's boy than Nathan. You know, and it's hard, you know, because we miss them in a physical. But when we think about the goodness of God, she had 84 years. I want you to know that. God called her home. Just like God called my mother home, because they were tired, you know. And I'm surprised I can say that today, because 9 years I couldn't. Because when I showed up at her memorial, it was a few people that held me up. Because once she died, I was no more good. I went to drugs. You know what I'm saying? My husband was handling everything. Other people was handling everything. So I believe that the test today, that I got to do a redo. I got to do a redo. So people didn't know that. So that's why I was against that. I don't need a pastor. Because anytime you give praises to God, and you're saying something, you're pastoring. We didn't need that for a memorial. God gave me another opportunity to show up today.
All right.
in my place of business for my family. And all I want to do is be here and make a legacy for my family. Because that's what I told my mother on these papers that she was cheating scratch on. That we gonna make something of this. We was not a perfect family. We did a lot of mistakes. But God will turn everything we did around for our good. We're breaking every generation curse. No more jails. No more drugs. None of that. And God is going to heal my cousin completely. Because he had a stroke right after his mom died a few months later. I was sickly. My cousin Anthony came back into my life in 2021. I was still rehabbing. And he was having heart conditions. See, all this running our family. And my cousin Anthony was at that hospital, and I was shocked because I'm used to going by myself. But my cousin was there for me. So this is not a time of tears or sorrow, but a time of celebration. And I thank God for using me and how far He has brought me. So I suffered well through it all for His glory, for this time. So I would like other people to come up here, give their last words of encouragement for this family.